Welcome back. So how did you do? Now, most people identify between 11 and 21 of the items as beliefs. And after the quiz, many people are adamant that certain items I claim are beliefs are not really beliefs. For example, they'll argue 2 plus 2 equals 4 is not a belief. It's a fact. And the same for the sun rising in the east or triangles having 3 sides. Most people just don't consider these beliefs. And this disagreement is a great first step. It proves that our mental world of beliefs is something we haven't yet codified. If we don't understand beliefs in the same way, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to give effective advice on how to get rid of limiting beliefs, right? Or how to increase your belief in any given area. And because we're all on different pages, when it comes to understanding our belief systems, we all suck at improving them. It's like doing math without understanding numbers. So here's how we're going to fix that. Let's start with the terms we use. We have all these different words we use, like fact and belief and hunch and opinion and truth and superstition and knowing. And these have never really been clarified as to how they relate to one another. So my goal is to explain beliefs in a way that'll help you understand them better than 99% of the people on the planet. And when you do, understanding how to reprogram your belief system becomes pretty easy. So let's start with my definition. A belief is simply a conclusion. The conclusion doesn't have to be true, it doesn't have to be real, it doesn't have to make sense. But if it's a conclusion in your mind or in somebody else's mind, then it's a belief. Now here's an example. Dragons are better volleyball players than unicorns. Now, is that a conclusion? Well, I'm declaring that dragons are better at volleyball, so yes, that is a conclusion. Now, is it true? Is it real? We have no idea because it's nonsense, but nonetheless, it's still a conclusion. Now, for the most part, that's how people understand the concept of beliefs. It's like beliefs are just random things humans think. They're not real, they're not true, you can't prove them, they don't really matter. Well, how about this example then? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Is that a conclusion? It absolutely is. Then 2 plus 2 equals 4 is also a belief. Why? Because it's a conclusion. If someone concludes that 2 plus 2 equals 4, then that person believes 2 plus 2 equals 4. Well, how about this one? It looks like it's going to rain today. Is that statement a conclusion? It is. Then it too is a belief. How about the sun rises in the east and sets in the west? Is that a conclusion? Yes. They're all conclusions, which makes them all beliefs. However, they all represent different categories of beliefs, and that's where all the confusion comes into play. Let me try to explain everything in a way that helps it make much more sense. Let's imagine this white tablecloth as a territory within your mind, and we'll call this territory Belief Land. Citizens of Belief Land are known as beliefs, and to be a citizen, there is one single requirement. They must also be a conclusion. Any type of conclusion about any topic. And this conclusion can be true or false, it doesn't matter. As long as it's a conclusion, it's definitely a belief and can therefore live in Belief Land. Now, this is where things start getting interesting. Let's populate Belief Land with some citizen beliefs. And we'll use various fruits to represent these beliefs/conclusions. And I chose fruits because I think it will eventually help clarify the confusion over what is a belief and what isn't. So for just a moment, let's swap the terms conclusion and beliefs with the word fruit. So in order to live in Belief Land, all citizens must be a fruit. Now, these are all fruits, but they are different kinds of fruits living here, just like there are different kinds of beliefs living in your belief system. I think we can all agree that all apples are fruits, but not all the fruits are apples. And all strawberries are fruits, but not all the fruits are strawberries. This can be said for each of these different fruits. Now, let's keep the fruit, but change the terms again. Let's change it back. Here are the 7 different categories of beliefs. And now we can say that all facts are beliefs, but not all beliefs are facts. Or we can say that all superstitions are beliefs, but not all beliefs are superstitions. When we arrange these beliefs into the respective categories, we can visually see that facts are different than opinions and values are different than truths, but they are all still beliefs because they are all various forms of conclusion. Now again, in my book, I have 7 brief chapters that discuss each of these categories, and it will benefit you to read and understand each of these categories and what power and influence it has over your life. The book does a far better job than I can do in this video. Now also, like most societies, these beliefs are free to mix and mingle, and they can form relationships with one another. But we should understand these are purely working relationships. They work together in teams, or what I often refer to as belief clusters. And they do this for one specific purpose, which we'll discuss in a minute. But for now, just understand that all your beliefs are very category conscious. The bananas know they're bananas. The grapes identify as grapes, and so forth for each category. And much like ranks in the military or levels of corporate structure, these categories represent real distinctions in both status and power. Some categories wield great power and influence, while others have very little power and influence. Because each category maintains a specific status, a natural hierarchy develops among them. Conclusions with the highest status, which also have the highest certainty, sit at the top, having the most influence over the entire belief system. And those with lower status, meaning lower certainty, they are still important, but can easily be overruled by those above. I think it is rather intuitive for you to understand that facts and truths will easily trump and overrule opinions, superstitions, or hopes. So, this is how your belief system works. Those beliefs with the highest status rest in the highest categories, and those with the lowest status are still important, but can easily be overruled by any of the categories above. So now you may be wondering, what gives a belief status? What makes one category more influential and powerful than another? And I can answer both questions with a single word: certainty. The most important differences among all your beliefs and the categories boils down to one thing. How much certainty do you have that each conclusion accurately represents reality? In other words, how true is the conclusion for you across time and space? Now, for instance, if we were comparing the following 2 beliefs, number 1, the sun will rise in the east tomorrow, with number 2, Bigfoot is real. Well, we can probably agree on the following. Both are conclusions, and thus both are beliefs. Now, the sun rising in the east contains more certainty than the conclusion Bigfoot is real, and that's because there's a lot more evidence supporting it. So even within the belief system of someone who definitely believes in Bigfoot, the sunrise conclusion would have more certainty. Also, and finally, we can probably agree that nearly every human would categorize the sun rising in the east as a fact. And while the Bigfoot claim may be categorized as a fact within the belief systems of those who truly believe, it's more than likely going to be categorized in another category like hope or superstition or opinion for those who do not. Every belief that has ever existed carries a ratio of certainty versus doubt. The higher the certainty, the higher it's categorized. And the higher it's categorized, the higher its status and influence. And this ratio of certainty versus doubt is determined solely within the mind of each human according to their own knowledge and experience. A single conclusion could occupy several different categories in as many different people. Now, let's take a moment to review what we know at this point. First, we know that every belief is a conclusion. Second, we also know all our conclusions are filed into 7 different categories, and these categories form a natural hierarchy where some beliefs outrank and have more power and influence than others. And third, we categorize beliefs based on how certain we are that they truly represent reality over time and space. Now, do you remember when I said in Belief Land, your beliefs form working relationships for one simple purpose? And that purpose is to instill certainty into your programming. Certainty is what balances your mind with your reality. Now, beliefs will cluster, each belief providing evidence to support an underlying conclusion, and the cluster is formed for the sole purpose of better understanding reality. You remember the story I told of my son hallucinating just before his medical procedure? He was seeing puppies through a table in an operating room, which refuted all of his belief clusters about vision because, one, you can't see through opaque solid objects, and it refuted all of his conclusions about medical facilities because animals aren't supposed to be allowed inside sanitized operating rooms. Now, his programming and his current reality did not match. They did not balance. But he had another cluster, a group of conclusions about drugs, about side effects, and about distorted perceptions. And this cluster provided him certainty that his other two clusters were still representative of the reality he had come to understand. Now, let's shift the focus to you. Your beliefs also work together in clusters. If a cluster blocks your success, we simply need to reprogram the cluster. That is the essence of belief strategy. And certainty, my friends, is like a superpower. It can make all your dreams come true. Now, let me explain how with a few hypothetical examples. Let's imagine you woke up one morning and somehow found yourself in a strange land, and shortly thereafter, you found yourself needing to cross a wide river. Now, having never been there before, your mind would have lots of certainty about this place, and especially this river. Lots of certainty equals lots of doubt. You know, how deep is this river? And how fast is that current? And what creatures swim beneath that water? And what dangers lurk around the bend? And, is there a waterfall downstream? In this scenario, rule number one would definitely be threatened. Crossing that river presents many risks. It might require a lot of energy, and trying to cross the river might definitely end your life. Game over. Any desire or plan to just casually waltz into that river will definitely be blocked, or at least challenged, by the two deep strategies programmed to protect your life. But what happens if we could instill certainty into this scenario? Would things change inside your mind if you were certain the river was only 2 feet deep, had a gentle current, only goldfish lived in the water, and nothing dangerous lay around the bend? Would your survival strategies chill out a bit? Well, I think it's obvious they would, with an increase in certainty that you won't be harmed and that may actually turn out to be an enjoyable experience. Your two deep strategies may not even send out blocking signals. Now, here's another thought experiment. Let's imagine for some reason you want to quit your current job and start your own business. And having never done this before, there would be a lot of uncertainty and doubt. For example, do you have enough money to survive on until your business takes off? Also, how long will it take for it to become profitable? How many hours per week will you need to work on this business, and is it going to be hard work? And then, what's around the bend regarding the economy? All of that uncertainty means risk and possibly wasted energy. This scenario threatens rule number one. Whatever more awaits you in your own business and that reality, that desired reality, will most likely find itself blocked in a competitive arm wrestling match. And it's going to be stacked there too against your one. So you see, it's much safer for your subconscious programming to keep you where you are. It's not doing this to punish you. It's doing it to protect you. There are volumes of certainty in your current reality. Why change? But what if you can instill certainty into those uncertain variables? What if you were absolutely certain you had enough money to survive until your startup became profitable? What if you knew for sure how many hours of energy and how hard it would take to work you'd have to expend each week to grow this business? And what if you knew for a fact both the current and future economy were the best possible economies for this specific business to flourish. Do you think your mental programming, now loaded with certainty, might introduce cooperation into your mental arm wrestling match? My friends, the reason we fail at our goals and dreams is because we are fighting so many variables loaded with doubt. We are not broken or incapable human beings. The problem is not us. The problem is we are burdened with doubt, which triggers our deepest survival strategies. These are the strategies our entire ancestral line honed for us to even be born on this planet. These strategies are the most influential programming we have. They ensure our very life. And at the risk of sounding redundant, once again, here's the outline of our future game plan. The key to achieving your goals and dreams is to create cooperation between your active and subconscious minds, right? Now, to do that, you need to eliminate or at least reduce the doubt in your belief system, because this doubt triggers your self-preservation strategies. Now, you reduce the doubt by introducing certainty, which in our software metaphor means reprogramming those unwanted limiting beliefs that are currently holding you back. Certainty is your mental superpower. And coming up, I'm going to explain how to use your active mind to program certainty into your subconscious mind. But first, there's some homework to do, and the homework is to read the brief chapters in my book that explain your 7 belief categories. And just in case you're going to say, I don't have my book, I have PDFs of them in the content below. We're getting close, my friends. I will see you in the next video.